Shalom and good evening, everyone. Coming back to you with the 8 new moon report. We got most of everybody results in, and as you probably may know, this is a very important month, a month that you need to reflect on, that you need to meditate on, because as we're going through the Most High's calendar, He is teaching us or He's showing us there's a message in each month. And it does relate to the now, to the what is, which is the present. What you see before you is a picture, and most of us are familiar with the first judgment that took a place, that took upon the whole world. And we know the second judgment is coming, because you know wherever our Father speak, it will come to pass. And that second judgment, He says unto us, as He promised unto Noah, He will not destroy the world with water, but He's going to destroy it with fire. Now, when you meditate on these two type of judgment, water is to cleanse, right? To remove the filth, the impurities, you know, with the washing. But when you meditate on fire, fire made things anew. And this is why He says through that He would create a new heaven and a new earth. When you meditate on that. Because the same thing that's going to that would take place in the physical would be the same thing that would take place with the bride, the 144, and to the nation of Israel. You could probably hear my voice. I'm smiling because y'all, everything is connected. The heavens and the earth, the spiritual and the physical. And when you begin to understand that, then you will understand what's going to happen with you and what is to come. So this is a very important month. We'll go over the 8 new moon report. There's a lot of things I need for you to take note. And if it's my Father will, I will come back unto you to talk about not only about the 8th month, but also with the 7th month, because we learn that the 7th month means enduring. Okay? And we'll get to the meaning of the 8th month. So take this time now to pause this picture and just meditate. Because you know our Father brings righteous judgment. Righteous judgment. As I'm speaking this, Father's saying for you to read Romans 1 because many people don't understand we are in covenant. Oh yeah, we are in covenant. Whether you are Israelite or Gentile, we are in covenant. And to understand what I'm saying, you'll have to read Romans 1 because Paul called those covenant breakers. So you have to go back to the beginning to understand what I'm saying and why Paul called you a covenant breaker. I can see right now most of y'all focusing on the words on the paper, but I'm not talking about words. It's something deeper than that. But you have to go back to the beginning to understand why Paul would call you a covenant breaker. Okay, let's begin. I thought what I'll do first, let me knock this out of the way. What I'm sharing with you, there might be some copyright material. So the copyright material I share with you is for education purposes only. And the title of this video is the 8 New Moon Report, Judgment, and Blood Moon. Yes. I'm smiling because recently I had shared a brief video with you, and y'all, nothing happened by in coincidence. I was just talking about the 8th month and how this month is known as the month of judgment because that's the month where He brought the floods upon the earth. And we reflected back on one of His prophetess messages, um, as well as looking at the Song of Moses and the prophet Zechariah with the 2/3 being destroyed. Because see y'all, a purification is coming, a fire is coming, and if you didn't make it through the first round, Revelation 12 is going to come forth. And to understand what I'm saying, if you didn't make it in the first round, and I'm speaking very heavily to the Israelites right now, okay? Gentiles, bear with me. Because if you didn't make it in the first round, Israel, then you're going to have to go through the next round. You're going to have to face the serpent, the beast, okay? And then unto my Gentiles, brothers and sisters, whatever's the same for Israel would be the same for you. If you didn't make it in this round, you too will have to face the serpent, the beast. You know, the potter likes to try the clay. You know, even clay go in fire so it can be set. Something to think about. But let us begin. Okay, we get this knocked out the way, y'all. So I'm going to open up with some scriptures because we need to really meditate about this month. Because we are in the Father's judgment now. Things are speeding up, things are happening left and right, and still many are not waking up. And I'm talking to both, whether you are awakened or whether you are unawakened, whether you know you are Israel or whether you do not, whether you know the truth of that Bible to the Israelites and to the Gentiles, or whether you don't. I'm talking to everyone. Okay? So let me open up with these scriptures. We're going to today to 2nd Ezra chapter 3. And I'm going to read a chapter summary first to you first, and I'm going to read a couple of verses. And I'm reading out of the King James 611 Bible. For those who don't have access or don't have a copy of this Bible, there is a website that is free unto you, and you can check it out. 2nd Ezra chapter 3. Ezra is trouble. And Ezra is Ezra. That is the Greek way they would say his name. And acknowledgement the sins of the people, yet complaineth that the heathen were lords over them, being more wicked than they. Verse 1. In the 30th year, after the ruin of the city, I was in Babylon, and lay trouble upon my bed, and my thoughts came up over my heart. For I saw the desolation of Zion, and the wealth for them that dwelt at Babylon. And my spirit was sore moved, so that I began to speak words full of fear to the Most High, and said, now y'all, I want y'all to pay attention how this prophet Ezra, who is the high priest too, how he's showing you his Adamic side, his human side. Okay? And notice that he didn't run to others. He cried out to the Father. That's the same thing we need to be doing. Crying out to him, talking to him. Because he's the only one going to give you the answers. He's the only one that's going to comfort you. And he's the only one that can give you peace. Okay, verse 4, y'all. O YAHUAH, who bears rule, thou spakest at the beginning, when thou didst plant the earth, and that thyself alone, and commandest the people, and gavest a body unto Adam without soul, which was the workmanship of thy hands, and didst breathe into him the breath of life, and he was made living before thee. Now that breath of life, for those who have a copy of the 1611, I don't know if it's going to show it in this verse, but it is shown in Genesis what the breath of life is. I hope you go back and read it. Okay? Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. But I know it's somewhere between 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay? That's your homework. Because again, remember the physical is tied with the spiritual. You got to understand these spiritual things. And meditate on how the Father made your forefather, Adam. Meditate on that. Okay. Verse 6. Let me go back to verse 5. And did it breathe into him the breath of life, and he was made living before Yahuwah. So he became a living soul, y'all, once he received the breath of life. And how we know? This verse gave it away. The body was created, but there was no soul in it. So to have a soul, you must receive the breath, which is the spirit, which comes from heaven above. Okay. Verse 6, y'all. And thou leddest him into paradise, which thy right hand had planted before ever the earth came forward. And unto him thou gavest commandment to love thy way, which he transgressed. And immediately thou appointest death in him, and in his generations, on whom came nations, tribes, peoples, and kindreds out of number. So what this is saying unto you, when you go back and read, you will learn that Adam was made in the image of Yah, therefore he was an immortal being. But when he sinned or transgressed against our Father, it changed his body from immortal to mortal. And that curse passed on to the seed in his loins. Okay? Verse 8. And every people walked after their own will, and did wonderful things before them, and despised thy commandments. Y'all, this verse here is saying a whole lot, because what is done back then is done now. Do we not see people doing their own will and not our Father's will? They have their own agendas. Do we not see people doing great and wonderful things before Yahuwah? And do we not see many who despise his commandments, for they say it's done away with? Many. If only they understand those things give life, but they are spirit. Verse 9. And again in the process of time thou broughtest the flood upon those that dwelt in the world, and destroyed them. Do y'all hear that? In the Father time, in the season of the time of his judgment to come, he caused the flood to come upon the whole world, and it destroyed them. It killed them. It removed the breath of life from them. Verse 10. And it came to pass in every of them that as death was to Adam, so was the flood to these. Okay. Nevertheless, one of them thou leftest, naming Noah, with his household, of whom came all righteous men. And it happened, and y'all want to listen up. And it happened that when they that dwelt upon the earth began to multiply, and have gotten them many children, and were a great people, they began again to be more ungodly than the first. You want to meditate on that, because we're seeing that now. We have the records of our forefathers. I'm talking about the King James 6 and 11 and the other sacred books such as Josephus, Jubilees, Jasper, many other sacred books that was ordained by Yahuwah himself for the Israelite to write as a witness unto you. More ungodly than the first. It's like we're not learning our lesson, y'all. We're not learning anything from our ancestors. Okay, I just thought I'd open that up. So let's get to the nitty gritty. Let's go to the moon sightings. Well, let's first start with the new moon report. Okay. Right now, they have not had any updates to the site, but I think pretty soon they should be getting that updated. But most of us are aware that Israel was not able to see the new moon on the heathen day known as Friday, November the 5th in the year of 2021 AD. Now, the Adamic year we are in, we're in the 8th day from Adam, which is the 13th day from creation. Okay, that is the Adamic date. Okay. Um. So the father heirs that was able to see the new moon before Israel is South Africa, Texas, and Hawaii. Okay. Now, I also want to go to this site because it's been a while since I've been to this site, but y'all, I was amazed to see this. I am aware that there are others too that did follow Enoch formula for the 13th month. Remember, the prophets of Yah are given the sacred knowledge about the father calendar in heaven. I know it's going to take a while to come up. But I came across, I didn't come across this site. I knew about this site for a while. Just haven't checked it because most of the time the results are pretty much the same from when I go to the other sites. But what I noticed on this site, which is titled as When is the New Moon? Moon dates, new moon sightings from Israel. Now, this is by Brother Mark Harris. And what I noticed here, y'all, on November the 6th, remember Israel saw it on November the 6th, he is labeling this month as the 8th month, as the same as us. So as I scroll down further, you will see that he too started the beginning of the year in April. So he is aware of that 13th month. I'm not for sure if he's more familiar with Enoch's formulas, but what I'm pointing out to you is that he has followed the 358 rule. Now, when the Jewish add that 13th month, it should be in the upcoming year from 2021 to 2022. But when you look at their patterns, okay, when you compare from the other years that they have for the 13th month, as well as the future years to come, you will find that they don't follow the 358 rule. Okay, and there's a video on in the playlist titled Yah's Calendar or Yah's Family Calendar. Okay, and we do talk about that, and I share with y'all their records because if you keep a record of their records, you will see their pattern and you will see they don't follow the prophets. Remember, the Father has given you the prophets. Father don't change, y'all. So in your assemblies or wherever you're fellowshipping, you should have prophets and prophetess among you. Remember the many different offices that's in the body, and you should have prophets and prophetess among you. The Father don't change. They are his mouthpiece. So he has given you the ancient prophets writings, and he has given you the prophets of today, fulfilling Joel chapter 2 and Acts chapter 2. Okay? So I just thought that was quite interesting that he's following the same thing as us. So when I scroll down, I just want to show you this. For his 13th month, he too started it. His day was March the 14th for him, which fell on a Sunday evening. Okay. That's when he kept the 13th month. Take this time down to pause your screen. And he started his first month, which he's claiming as the new year. And this is April the 13th in the year of 2021 AD. And it fell on a Thursday. That's when it started, Thursday at sundown. I'm sorry, I need to make a correction. He has date cited Wednesday on April 13th in the year of 2021. So just go behind me and check to make sure this is the correct heathen day of the week that he has noted. But the thing that I just want you to point out to you that many others are following the formulas of the prophets, Enoch, Ezekiel, and others as well. They were given formulas so you'll know how to set up your calendar. And you know the role and function of each light. Genesis chapter 1, verse 14, which are the sun, the moon, and Mazzaroth, which mean the 12 signs. The Gentiles today call it the 12 zodiac. So I thought that was very interesting right there. So let's go to the see about any other moon sightings. I have to give my computer a while. It's freezing up. Okay. Let me refresh the page. Okay, let's start from the beginning. At this time, I have not received any reports from my brother Kiefer. As for myself, I was not able to see the 8th new moon due to clouds. Okay. Um Now what I did in this year, I put all those sites that I usually go to check for, the new moon results from around the world. I put them at the top so it'd be easier to get to so we can compare. So for this month of November, we already talked about the renew moon site. Okay. Have to get my computer out because it moves so slow. So we talked about that already. Now, this is another site I go to just to compare for Ishmael or the Arabs or those who follow the Musulman faith, and forgive my tongue. They too saw it on Friday at sundown. That's the heathen's date, which was November the 5th in the year of 2021 AD. And this is a more close-up picture where you can see. Okay. Now with Truth Table Ministries, he was not able to see the 8th new moon. However, this is what he said. There's other sources that he received word, or they have credibility with him, that verified that the new moon was seen on Friday at sundown. So he says, Shalom family, tonight we experienced another overcast and were unable to see the new moon. However, according to various sources, the moon is actually visible at about 2% and was visible in parts of Africa and in Texas. Therefore, tonight marks the beginning of the ninth biblical month, Kislev. Now, remember, he's falling behind the Jewish when they start their year. But what I thought was amazing, that in this go around, that he didn't follow behind the Jewish, the Yahad, he followed behind what he received from worldwide. That's a step. Okay. So we're seeing some people are paying attention and saying, okay, there are areas that are seeing the new moon before Israel. And we talked about the why, and that's in that brief video that's on the channel dealing with the sign of who are the Israelites. Yeah, Father speaking as well as his creations. Okay. So that was interesting right there. Now in Israel, these are pictures of their new moon sighting. Now for them, they were only able to see it November the 6th. Okay. And then you can go on Facebook. Um, their group name is the Biblical Calendar Formula, of Aviv, reports from Israel. Okay, so that's where you can find them at. And then Brother Hashur, he too was only able to see the moon on November the 6th at 5:09 p.m. Okay. So for this month we have the east to be able to see the moon. Okay. Now those who are new or just watching this video for the first time, when you open up the calendar, at the top, the very top, are links. And those links will give you the moon sightings or what we talked about, as well as other things that we discussed in the prior videos. So, this takes, take take some time to review that. But in this calendar, I share a lot of information, okay? And because that way you have the scriptures, you have, something as your foundation to build on as you're learning our Father calendar. And his calendar are made of three lights, which is very important to know. You cannot separate these three lights. They are made to work together as one. That's a mystery in that. Okay. But anyway, let us keep going. So we are in the third season because remember we have 4 seasons. All right. And it does tie it into the flood and what took place in that. You have to read Jubilees on that. Now the season we are in is fall. Okay. Now, far as harvest, because remember there's 3 solemn feasts that deal with harvesting. You have Passover, Peshat, Shavuot, Pentecost, and you have Sukkot. Okay, those are the 3 solemn feasts that we keep that deals with the harvesting. Okay, so we had just completed that feast in the 7th month. So remember, each season had 3 months. So for fall, it is that falls in the month that falls in the 7th, 8th, and 9th month. Far as I counting towards Shemitah and Jubilee, we are in the 6th year now, okay, of that count. They gave you the Adamic year, and there's some scriptures you can read about that. Also list when was the years of the 13th month. And at the top of this calendar report, there's a link where you can look at the other years that we had the 13th month as well. And then I list some very important scriptures because when you study the Most High calendar, it goes back to the original road or job that he gave Adam to do. This calendar is tied into agriculture. Remember I said the physical go hand with the spiritual. The heavens go hand with the earth. So the heavens manifest the signs by the lights, and the earth bring it forth in the physical. Okay? So 8th month. So this comes from 2nd Ezra chapter 7, verse 30 through 34. And I know what I am going to read that right quick, y'all. Bear with me. I'm just trying to see how to get to it. Okay. It says, and the world shall be turned into old silence 7 days, like as in the former judgment. What was that former judgment or that first judgment he was talking about? The flood. So that no man shall remain. Okay. So he's telling you it's coming back. The second judgment, which is the fire. It also goes to say after 7 days pass, so it's talking about Yah's time. So after 7 days of Yah time pass, y'all, the world that yet, let me minimize this because I want to read this smooth so you can really hear what our Father saying unto us. Okay. All right. The world that yet awaketh not shall be raised up. Okay. And that shall die that is corrupt. So that's telling you a lot. Those who are corruptible unto him will die. Okay. Will die. This coming. Let me go on to read. And the earth shall reserve those that are asleep in her. So, body, soul, and spirit. Revelation 20. And so shall the dust those that dwell in silence, and the secret places shall deliver those souls that was committed unto them. Do y'all hear that? And the Most High shall appear upon the seat of judgment. So after 7 days pass, then this go along with Enoch's 10-week prophecy. He's giving you a date. And it falls on the 15th day of creation, which is the 10th day from Adam. And 10 means completion. Completion. Just like our Father's throne room is in the 10th level of heaven. Okay? So the Most High shall appear upon the seat of judgment, and misery shall pass away, and long suffering shall have an end. So now things is going to be reversed. No more affliction, no more pain, no more suffering, no more death. Okay? It's going to be reversed. It's going to be eternity, joy, peace, and happiness for the righteous. But for the wicked, their long suffering shall be eternal. Okay? But judgment only shall remain, truth shall stand, and faith shall wax strong. So once this judgment come forth, y'all, it's telling you what's going to remain now. In other words, no more wickedness, only judgment, truth, and faith. And the work shall follow, and the reward shall be shown, and the good deeds shall be of force, and wicked deeds shall bear no rule. Y'all, I look forward to that. Okay? All right, we are in the 8th month of the Most High Calendar. Okay? Now, those who don't follow the 13th month, it's simple math. They're going to get behind. Okay? So for this year, let me see, do I have it in here? If this is correct, those who did not add a 13th month this year would be in the 9th month, just like the Jewish are. Now, those who didn't add a 13th month started in the year of 2015 to 2016 and ongoing, you will be in your 11th month. Math don't lie. It's very simple. Okay? Now, the Hebrew name for the 8th month is Bull. You can find it in 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 38, and it means to increase, produce. You need to really meditate. Why do you think bull mean that? What does the rain do? It brings forth what? Life. It calls those seeds that we plant in the earth to grow. Therefore, think about what happens with you when the Father pour his spirit upon you. It would cause you to what? Come up higher. You will have his mind, his ways, his thoughts. Just like he did with Job. It was time to graduate. It's time to come up to higher spiritual things. Okay? Now, this year, this month fell in the heathen month of November to December. Okay? And we're going to have to close out the 7th month. But before we do that, so our Shabbat, because we go by the heavens to set the Shabbat, the Sabbath, will be from Friday to Saturday sundown. And this month I have it as titled as the season of the sower seeds of the sower sowing seeds and judgment. Former first rains. And there's a lot of important scriptures for you to read here. Now the one I have highlighted in green, you definitely want to read. It was dealing with the prophet Hosea, because it deals with the Messiah and the saints' resurrection. And it also dealt with what I read to you earlier in 2nd Ezra chapter 7, but also read Joel chapter 2, verse 23. Okay? Very important. And then I also have listed Mark chapter 4, Matthew chapter 13, and etc. So these are verses you can look at. Okay, because remember the Messiah told us to what? Watch and pray, meaning that we should be prepared. Soon he will sing out the eagle wings. Okay. Now to close out the 7th month. Now the 7th month, for those who are following the heavens and who are following the date of the new moon being on November the 5th, we will have 29 days in the 7th month now. However, Brother Hashur and Israel will have 30 days because they are claiming November the 6th as their first day. Okay. Far as the days of the sun, we will get to that as we go through the calendar. So the new moon day for the 8th month, I put West to let me know that it was seen throughout the other countries, but Israel was not able to see it. Fell on November the 5th, and we end on November the 6th from sundown to sundown. Far as the date of the sun, it falls on the sun's 8th month and 14th day. Okay. Now, this is some FYI just to keep up with because I hate when the heathens do this, but finally time will be corrected now. So daylight saving light ended in America, and it fell on day 2 of the Most High calendar month. Now Israel had ended theirs a couple days before that. They had ended there on the 24th day of the 7th month of the Most High calendar. They daylight saving in, and thank goodness we're going back to the correct time that the Father set things to be. Now, far as the, like I said, Brother Hashur and Israel saw it on the 6th, so it falls on the sun's 8th month and 15th day. Now, looking at the first week of the Most High calendar, when we look on day 6 of the moon, okay, it falls on the heathen date, November the 10th to November the 11th from sundown to sundown. Now, far as the date of the sun, let me get that for you. I almost forgot about that. The sun date is the 8th month and 19th day. The 8th month and 19th day. Okay. Very important. Whoever is teaching you his calendar, that they keep up with these 3 lights. Now, as far as your first Shabbat, remember we have 4 Shabbats or 4 Sabbath and 1 new moon day. And Ezekiel give you the formula for that. Okay. So our first Shabbat will fall on the sun's 8th month and 21st day. Far as the heathen day, it will fall on November the 12th to November the 13th from sundown to sundown. And so that concludes the first week. Now let's look at the second week, y'all. We got some things going on this week. So in the second week of the moon, on its 11th day, we have Noah being 600 years old. And on this day is the first of the 7 days. And you're going to have to read Genesis chapter 7, verse 1 to 10 to see what take place with Noah for the first 7 days. Okay, remember this is going to go back to the flood. Want to check that out. So it falls on the sun's 8th month and 24th day. As far as the heathen day, it falls on November the 15th to November the 16th from sundown to sundown. Now, on the 14th day of the moon, we have a full moon day. Now, we have something special going on. One of my sisters reached out to me and was sharing this with me. So when I checked that out, y'all, I didn't know anything about this until my sister had told me about it. But this was after our class. And y'all, it's just like, whatever the Father give me to speak is not by coincidence. And you'll see what I'm talking about when I take you to that link. So this is the full moon day. On this day, the moon will appear smaller in the heavens. So that's what they call it, a micro. But also, certain parts of the world will see what they call a partial lunar eclipse or a partial blood moon. And it falls on the sun's 8th month and 27th day on the heathen date from November the 18th to November the 19th, which brings us to this. So timeanddate.com has some information of this almost total lunar eclipse. But you can read that information site because they do have it starting from November the 18th and on November the 19th. Okay. But on the earthsky.org, they have a nice chart where you can really see how this eclipse is going to take place and what areas we're able to see and what we're not. So it shows you how the eclipse will be visible when the moon rises and what countries will be able to see it. And when the moon sets, what country will be able to see it as it's setting or going down. And when the moon is completely out, how you notice here, America will be able to see it clearly. So let's go up and just read this a couple of sentences. Let me take you to the title of it. It said partial lunar eclipse overnight on November the 18th for North America. Okay, they give you a little chart right here. And with this star constellation, I know it has something to do with the rains. I know Josephus talk about it, but that's something you can do in your homework right there. I think it's pronounced as Pleiades. I hope I said it correctly, but check that out because y'all, that's where we at. This is the time for the rains, so it's preparing the earth so it can receive what the seed. And are we not of the earth. So just as the rain come upon the earth, the Father pour His Spirit upon us to make our hearts pliable to receive what? The living word. It's amazing. Okay. So it says here that a partial lunar eclipse will darken the moon for much of the globe on November the 19th, 2021. Overnight on November the 18th for North America. Most locations will see up to 97% of the moon slip in the Earth's shadow. North America has the best location to see the entirety of the eclipse. Find maps and timing for the eclipse below and remember to convert to UTC to your time. So I'm going to pause here, but that's something you can read for yourself. You can go to earthsky.org. It's under astronomy essentials partial lunar eclipse November 19, 2021. Now for timeanddate.com, you will click on the link that has for full story. Okay. Because it was something I saw in here. I'm going to go back up. Okay, I'm just going to start reading here. It says, see what happens when the sun, earth, and moon imperfectly align during this deep partial lunar eclipse. Now, I do want to tell you this. These lights come through doors, the left. The Gentiles say portals. Okay? Enoch's writing will clear up a lot of things. Okay? Then the article go on to say the Earth's dark umbrella shadow will cover almost 97% of the full moon surface. So it's about 97% that would be covered. That's why he said almost total lunar eclipse. Okay. Now, far as where we'll be able to see it, weather willing. So depending on what your weather is like, okay, you should be able to see it, such as those that's in North and South America, Australia, and parts of Europe and Asia can expect to see almost all of November's. This is what they call that kind of moon, the beaver or false moon, turn a shade darker. Okay, so that's just something to check out in your spare time. Now, another interesting thing in this article, I think it was this one or it was the other one. It did mention, yeah, here it go, about a solar eclipse, and a solar eclipse a total solar eclipse will take place in Antarctica on December the 4th. There is always at least one lunar and one solar eclipse in an eclipse season. Again, this go back to Genesis 1 and 14. Those who are watching, because y'all, these things are telling us judgment. We are in judgment. Now, I'm looking at America strongly because it's reminding me of one of the prophets. Okay? It's reminding me about one of the prophets. Okay? I'm just trying to close up some tabs here. And it's the prophet I'm thinking about is the prophet Jeremiah. The prophet Jeremiah. Okay. I'm going to get that time to pull up. And I'm going to read a scripture unto you. Again, y'all, these are signs to remind us of the biblical prophecy that has not come into its fullness. Okay. And I think it's Jeremiah 16. So let's go there. Because as we have learned through the Song of Moses, that the children of Israel are scattered throughout the four corners, and the four corners are the east, the west, the north, and the south. Now, one of the areas that we need to heavily look at is the north. The north, okay? And you'll see what I'm talking about. Because according to Revelation 16 and 17, this is where it's going to be destroyed and taken out first. And once it's taken out, then that anti-Messiah, some people call him the Antichrist, but I say anti-Messiah, then he can fully reign for his 3.5 years. You have to read Revelation 16 and 17, okay? Because it's coming down to that. And I have brothers and sisters, even my sister who had passed, she also had a dream and she shared that dream with me. It is war is coming here. They're going to take this place out. And the place I'm talking about is the Babylon of today. The whore that sits upon a beast that went around the world, spreading her wine, causing those to be drunken to greatly sin against the Most High Yah. Okay? Democracy. Her doctrines. Okay? She is the only one that has a military base that is implanted in most of the countries throughout the world. Okay? All right? Again, you have to be watching and praying. Yeah, this is the one. Okay. So this is what is reminding me that blood moon, especially in America, for us to see it. Okay? For us to see it clearly. Okay? He says here, therefore, behold, the days come. So this is a future prophecy. Saith Yahuwah, that it shall no more be said, Yahuwah liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt. So the world will no longer know him as that God or that Elohim that brought the children out of Egypt. But the living word says that we would know him, who the one who liveth, okay, as the one who brought up the children of Yasharal from the land of the north and from all the lands, whether he had driven them. And he go on to say that he will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. So this blood moon, which is, like I said, we are in judgment, 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 18 through 19. That's where we at right now. Okay. That's what that means, y'all. That's a sign unto us to remind us about his promises. Something to really think about. All right. All right. Let's get back to the calendar. So you can be on the lookout for that. And I'm telling y'all, I had no knowledge of this until I shared the message. And I'm like, wow, Father, you just confirming to me what he has shown me. Judgment. So we all know that 2/3 gonna be destroyed for the lack of knowledge. But for that 1/3, he's telling you to endure. And the only way you can endure is through the Holy One. He is the only one that had what overcometh the world. So he is the one that can help you overcome the world. He can break those bonds, okay? Those things that can have you keep coming back to the world or have a hold on you. He's the one that can break that chain. Break you out of jail, break you out of prison. He's the one who can deliver you, bring you out of darkness to the light. Okay? All right. So this fall on the sun's 8th month and 27th day on the heathen day of November the 18th to the 19th. Very important day, y'all. Very important day. I think I just need to highlight this one. Okay. Now, on the 15th day, which is the second Sabbath, it falls on the sun's 8th month and 28th day, which on the heathen day, November the 19th to November the 20th from Sunday to sundown. And we have a biblical event that happened on this day dealing with idolatry. Yes, the Israelites, again, always meddling with idolatry. And it dealt with the house of Israel, 1 Kings chapter 12. So you want to check that out. Which also brings me to this. We didn't read this. We was talking about the Song of Moses, but let us go there quickly. This is what he said to Israel. This is a future prophecy because the Father already knew what they would do, y'all. He knew. It's sad. Like he said, oh, Israel, if you have a heart, if you had that heart for me, you wouldn't have done these things unto me. We would not hurt our Father like that. So bear with me, I'm about there, y'all. So speaking of idolatry, because again, what's done back then is done now, even with these awakened Israelites. I'm telling you, they always want to try to open up something by their own hand or call themselves enlightened or dabble in the Kabbalah, all this crazy mess. And they don't even understand all things come by the Spirit. Okay. But this is what the Father said unto you, O Yashrael. Okay. I know it started verse 16, 17, but let me go down a little bit further. There's something else I'm looking in here. Oh, yeah, this is it. Okay, so let me just read a little higher. We start with 16, 17, then we read down. They provoke him to jealousy with strange gods, and we are doing that today. With abominations provoke they him to anger. They sacrifice unto devils, not to Yahuwah, to gods whom they knew not, to new gods that came newly up, whom your fathers feared not. Verse 18. Of the rock that begat thee, thou art unmindful, and hast forgotten Yahuwah that formed thee. And when Yahuwah saw it, he abhorred them because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters. So he hated you. Do you hear me, Israel? Because of your wicked ways and how you've forgotten him, how you don't honor him and respect him, and you don't love him. Okay. Verse 20. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be, for they are a very forward generation, children in whom is no faith. Again, they have no faith or believe in the Spirit, but they want to do things by their own hand to open up something, to give them enlightenment, knowledge. Okay. 21. And y'all know what I'm talking about. I tell you, putting tats in the middle or something to represent that they opening up something. Wow. Okay. Or saying that they opened up an organ that's in their brain. Yeah, I mean, it's just foolishness. Okay. They the Father go on to say they have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God. They have they have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people, and I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. Now, this is the part you want to highlight, okay? Because he's speaking to Yashrael. So listen up, Israelites. Our Father says this: For a fire is kindled in my anger. There go that word again, fire. And shall burn unto the lowest hell, and shall consume the earth with her increase, and set on the fire the foundations of the mountains. Y'all need to meditate on that. Father ain't playing. Okay? Enoch prophesied that them sheep gonna burn, and the sheep represent Yashrael. He prophesies that. Okay. So in the third week of the Most High calendar, we have the sun enter to the ninth sign of Mazzaroth, okay? And that falls on the sun's 8th month and 30th day, which falls on the heathen day, November the 21st to November the 22nd. We also have a biblical event that occurs on this day. Noah is 600 years old. They are in the ark, and it's day 7. Okay, that's dealing with what we was talking about in Genesis chapter 7, verse 11. So you want to check that out. But when the sun enters to the night sign of Mazzaroth, what is saying unto us? This is the sun's last day in its 8th month. Okay, this is the sun's last day in its 8th month. Now the Gentiles today call the night sign Sagittarius. Okay. And the last day of the 8th month is the 30th is the 30th day. So the beginning of the 9th month of the sun will fall on the moon 18th day. Okay. And it falls on the heathen date, November the 22nd to November the 23rd from sundown to sundown. Right? So what is happening is that you will still have daylight being shorter than night. So the reverse is happening now. And on this day, Enoch teach us that daylight is 7 parts now and night is 10 parts. Remember, on the equinox day, daylight and night is 9 parts that equal out. Okay. Now, for those who have been watching, as Father instruct us, we know there might be a slight variation in time now because the earth has shifted. She's no longer in line with the heavens. All right. Also, those who are familiar about earthquakes, this is what one of my sisters shared me. Every time we have an earthquake, it does shorten time. hmm So, this is why you won't see that perfect time. For example, we should have daylight should be around 10 hours and 40 minutes, and night should be around 13 hours and 20 minutes. But because this earth has shifted now, and you got to understand why, she is moaning for the restoration of Israel. That's why. Okay. So on the 22nd day of the moon, this is the third Sabbath, we have the moon decreasing herself in light now. She's a half moon. It falls on the sun's 9th month and 5th day, which falls on the heathen day, November the 26th to November the 27th from sundown to sundown. Now we are going to the 4th week of the moon. So on the 4th week of the moon, and I just want to point it out, remember for the 8th month now, we have a total of 30 days for the sun. Okay? So in the 4th week of the moon, on the 27th day of the moon, we have a biblical event dealing with Noah. He is 601 years old, and the earth is dry now. You can read about that in Genesis chapter 8, verse 14. Now, this year it falls on the heathen date, December the 1st to December the 2nd, from sundown to sundown. It falls on the sun's 9th month and 10th day. Okay? For on the 28th day of the moon, we have the moon decreasing herself in light. She is known as the last waning crescent. Okay. And in this particular phase fall on the sun's 9th month and 11th day, fall on the heathen day, on December the 2nd to December the 3rd from sundown to sundown. Okay. And now on the 29th day of the moon, we have the moon where she has no light. And as the prophet Enoch say, this is a sign unto us that this is the end of the month. Okay. And on this day, which you won't be able to see unless you have some special scope to look at the heavens, that the dark moon is bigger or closer to the earth. She would appear bigger, but because there's no light on her, we won't be able to see that. Okay. So this phase of the moon, the dark moon, fall on the sun's 9th month and 12th day, which fall on the heathen date, December the 3rd to December the 4th from sundown to sundown. So now this completes the 8th month. I hope y'all enjoy this new moon report. Check out the latest video that came out. Is very short and straight to the point to give you what is the sign to let you know who are the Israelites. And this sign been going on for a while, y'all, but many people ignore it. All right, love you all. Continue to preach that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, for it's truly at hand. And remember, we are in the season of Yah's judgment now. So this is not the time to bear to the left nor to the right. This is the time to stay on that path of righteousness. Make it right with our Father. Repent and receive His Son so you can receive eternal life. And also so you can receive the highest inheritance. Many people don't know that there's different level of inheritance in the kingdom to come. This is why the Messiah said there will be those that we call great in the kingdom, and then there will be those called least in the kingdom. Continue to preach that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, for it's truly at hand. Make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10, and baptize the people in the name of Yahusha Mashiach, for the Lamb set the example of the water baptism, the Holy Spirit baptism, and the apostles continued in both. Love you all, and